It's baseball season. Congrats to the Seahawks, AJ's favorite team. Bye, football.
Second.
Who's
Second favorite. Whoa, Scott.
Second.
Thank you. Love you. Great job. Won a ton of bets last night.
Team.
And I don't like the Patriots.
Chasing Edges. If you heard it, there it is. Chasing Edges.
Sam Darnold, legend.
Sam Darnold, Jets legend.
Jets legend.
Too soon.
Good for him.
Too soon
I love
for
the
them.
redemption story. So good.
Kratz,
So,
I don't think you have your mic on.
I don't. I just wanted to see if
classic.
first time I've ever done that. First time I've ever done it.
The game last night, by the way, wasn't very good unless you were a Seahawks fan.
It was good for a party because there's just
Yes.
like a few big moments where,
Yes.
and it was just like nice background.
Yeah,
But
you're right.
no, it wasn't a thriller.
No, which is fine. I didn't want a thriller.
I
I
didn't
wanted an
either.
ass whooping, and that's what the Patriots got.
It was the best game. Like if you had your bets rolling,
Oh,
there was no sweating. It
Oh.
was so nice.
so Dave Portnoy and those guys, all those
Pat's lovers.
Pat's lovers, Lucy Burge, who used to
Mm.
come on here a lot. Yeah.
Well, at least Belichick's in the Hall of Fame.
Nope.
Oh.
Did you see her shirt?
Who?
And Robert Kraft
Oh,
didn't get in. Did you
uh,
see
Belichick's
Belichick's girlfriend's shirt?
I heard she did some slight at them. What
Ooh.
was it?
So when she was at the UNC Duke game, which by the way, there was great college basketball this weekend too. The UNC Duke, the Illinois Michigan State game was unbelievable. The Kentucky Tennessee game was awesome. I know we're a baseball show, but
Yes.
Belichick's girlfriend wore a Tears of Asia or whatever it was in Jupiter, Florida, where Robert Kraft got arrested for.
Whoa.
Yeah, like the shirt.
She's taking shots.
It was bad. I'm like, well, that can't. Is that real? Like, is that really real? She wore that shirt.
Wow.
I forget what it's called, but it's like
I thought she was taking a shot at the Hall of Fame. She's taking a shot at Kraft.
one or the other.
Jeez. I know. I didn't know. I didn't do a lot of research on all of that, but she knows how to stay in the headlines.
Well, now it's over though, so now we can move to baseball because football is officially that ball game is over.
We have spring training photos, videos I'm seeing on social media already. Like, oh, there's Judge, there's Bregman, some guys popping up at camp. The last thing I'll put to bed here is baseball does not beat the NFL in overall numbers in many categories, but they do have some advantages. NFL does not make their Hall of Fame voting public ever, so you never know what
Tony
happens.
Dungy got asked about it, and he would not
He wouldn't
say who he
anything.
voted for. And
MLB
then Rodney
released-
Harrison called him out on it too, right to his face.
Well, how about this, which I like? The Hall of Fame for baseball released anyone that wanted it to be public. It's 82% of people
Which is
put
great.
their vote out.
Listen,
So
if you have that power, you should have to answer to people questioning your ballot. And like, there's certain people that vote for one person and they get 10.
right. And our All-Star game is awesome. And the NFL is on life support with their Pro Bowl, flag football Tuesday night, whatever thing. Ratings were by far the lowest ever. Also on the parity front, Jason Stark writing how champs over the last 10 seasons, 6 in the NFL, 7 in MLB, teams in the finals the last 10 seasons, 13 in baseball, 9 in the NFL. I love seeing people reply to tweets like this and just like cherry picking. I mean, you can cherry pick anything, but Kratz, they'll be like, well, that doesn't include this, this, and this. And oh, it's not going to look like that over the next 10 years. Okay.
Well, who knows what anything's going to look like over the next 10 years? Like, it's clearly there's no parity in the NFL. So sorry, the cap ain't bringing it. What is also not cap is I won my only FT bet, and that was heads or tails. Suck it, Todd Father.
Nice.
It was a great night. It was a lucrative night, but there's a lot of money flying around right now, moves wise. We seem to be hitting our like little deadline stretch of players in
That's
camp.
because people are showing up to camp and players are getting nervous. I mean, it happens every year.
We'll take it. Well, let's do it.
Yes, agreed. I mean, that's kind of how it goes.
Let's start it.
Charging the mound.
Marcell Ozuna, 1 year, $12 million, DH, Pirates. What do you think?
Good for him. I mean,
What about for the Pirates, though?
good for them. It's a good move for the Pirates. It gives them a steady DH, a guy who'll hit you 20 to 30 homers probably. Doesn't have to worry about playing defense. and can just go out there and get us his bats, and it helps their offense. I mean, their offense is vastly improved from where they were at the end of last season. So O'Hearn, Brandon Lau, now you bring in Ozuna. I mean, I like the moves that they have made. They're trying to shore up this team with the pitching that they have for the next few years. I like, and a lot of them are short-term deals. They're just for a year or two, and then we move on.
Yep. And I know the year was down and there were some injuries, whatever, but I mean, look at the prior 2 years for Ozuna, and he's 35. Like, you might not get back to that. Plate discipline is still off the charts too. Kratz walk percentage is among the best in baseball.
Ozuna from the Pirates. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, they were felt like he was more valuable than Andrew McCutchen, what he was going to bring them. And I would say, as much as I would want Andrew McCutchen to be a Pirate, I think right now Marcell Ozuna, they see it as an upgrade. The issue is last year they did run into a little bit of an issue with Reynolds getting hurt and saying, okay, Kutch, you got to go play the outfield, because Reynolds could still DH, but he wasn't able to be out there running. It was really about his throwing. It was something with his lat. But it is really hamstringing you when Marcelo's in there. Marcelo is 100% your DH. But like AJ said, it's a one-year thing. This team is so much better than it was at the end of last year. Is it enough offense to push them over the line of being a playoff contending team? You need big years.
I like this graphic.
You need big years. You're going to need big years. Is the drop in the fact that you won't get a 3/4 of a year of Ke'Bryan Hayes defense? There's going to be a drop in Brandon Lau's defense. Is that going to affect their pitching? Or is this team built to score enough runs because this pitching is that good? In my opinion, I think it is. I think they're definitely still a little short of the Cubs. I mean, I think the Cubs are the class of the Central right now, for sure.
Can we go back to that graphic too, so we can just run through the updated lineup with the Pirates? There it is. Let me read it real quick. So Spencer Horwitz at first, and we're showing OPS plus from last year next to it. Brandon Lau acquired for second. Brian Reynolds in right field. Ryan O'Hearn in left. I mean, that's not every day. I mean, left field in Pittsburgh is no joke.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to also play quite a bit of first. Ozuna's got DH. I mean, I'm not letting him play the outfield at all. If it's up to me. O'Neal Cruz in center. And then Nick Gonzalez, Jared Triolo at third. That's really nothing against Triolo, but more of a utility player. That's where they really blew it.
They could still use another one.
Yeah, Isaac Paredes still in the mix. Yeah, so they still could get Isaac Paredes, who I think would be a huge addition.
I'll have to Noah Hiles that, but I think they still need one more. I mean, Henry Davis and Joey Bart are going to, because Henry Davis catches Skeens at almost every start.
But they need a third baseman.
They need a third baseman.
That's the spot.
Yes. And O'Neal Cruz, it's time. O'Neal Cruz, it's time.
Yeah.
It's been enough. You can't use shortstop as, he's playing shortstop. Now he's switched positions. So, I mean, he's had the great Kevin Kiermaier on there working with him for a couple of days. So outfield is figured out. So now it's time to swing the bat.
There's no way Konnor Griffin doesn't make the team out of camp. There's no way.
Third base? He play third base? Can he play third base?
He's playing shortstop.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's going to play shortstop. I think Jared Triolo is a really good player. I get it. Isaac Paredes is an upgrade. How big of an upgrade? I do like Jared Triolo. And he's a productive player. There's going to be a spotlight on him for it, but Konnor Griffin has to make the team. Let's say he struggles in April. You can send him down then, but if he makes the team and plays like you think he's going to play on a team that wants to win, he's got a chance to give you a pick at the end of the year. Like, the Pirates are willing to roll the dice on that one. They're pushing their chips in. Did they have a lot of chips? I don't know, but they're pushing them in. And I have a hard time believing he is not in that opening day lineup.
Go make that one big move. Paredes is the guy, because the Astros are trying to trade him. We'll talk about the Red Sox trade later, but that's off the table now. I mean, Gino Suarez would have been a great fit for this team, but they blew it on that one. So you got Ozuna. That's the one more piece to me that puts them as a wild card contender.
They need another bat. They need one more,
because they're also always thin, right? Things fade.
And God forbid someone gets hurt, then you're really in trouble.
They're screwed. You can't rely on everybody being healthy the whole year.
Yeah.
But who do you
this
want
is
more?
much better. I'm not smashing them, Kratz, right?
This is better. This is a lot better.
We're entering the fourth year of FT. The first 3 years, I laugh at them. I am not laughing anymore.
Who do you want first? Quickly, who do you want first? Gino Suarez or Pablo Ozuna? Marcell Ozuna.
Gino Suarez, no question, for me. What about you guys?
I would take Gino too.
That was the fit. Now, Marcell Ozuna plus Isaac Paredes, I'll take that for sure.
They got to get it. They got to pay. What's Isaac making?
I'll find.
He just did
my
arbitration.
guess is like 12 or something like that.
10 or something. Whatever.
Yeah, he just did some type of settle. So I'll get that for you, and then we'll bring in Jim.
He was in the 8s, but
he's at 9 and change.
Okay,
about 9.5. Okay.
Again, I'm going to say this, and I know budgets and this and that, but that's not a franchise-killing move for 1 year because it's a 1-year thing.
And if that vaults you into the playoffs,
or vault you at least,
forget,
okay, not even into the playoffs. Like the playoffs are tough in the National League because just the National League is really hard anyways. But if at least it gets your fans excited, there's people coming to the ballpark excited. Hey, we're in it until September. Maybe we don't make it. We win 85 games or 83 games, and we miss the playoffs by a few games. At least people are like, hey, the Pirates are trying, and it buys you some trust.
It's a good call. Owner Bob Nutting, who controls the purse, of course, go get one more piece. Go get Isaac Paredes. You will make that money back. I promise you will make that money back in fans filling up seats. Yes, I think you will. They've had attendance issues. You could have a team that is in it for the entire year, like AJ said, even if they don't make the playoffs, in the mix for the whole year. It hasn't happened in a while. We also haven't talked about how. Yeah, I don't. I like him, but I like Paredes better.
Over Isaac Paredes?
Just the gap where you have to spend so much. That's it.
Who cares? We're not talking about
$32 million. You know, Jared Triolo be a freaking utility guy. Give me the proven guy that'll hit you 25 and normally I might not be great, but he's going to take a walk.
Let's get to Jim because we also want to ask him about McCutchen getting shown the door essentially with this move. Front office time. Front Office Unfiltered with FT resident GM Jim Bowden, also host of the new GM Territory. Go check out episode number 2. But JB, let's start with all of the activity today. And Marcell Ozuna to the Pirates. Feel free to join in on the debate that we've got going on here. What do you think about this move? And do you think there could be one more move left in the Pirates here?
Yeah, I love that the Pirates are trying. You know, we've talked about that before. I mean, the fact they're going to try to add some offense. Look, you've got 4 years left of Paul Skeens. If you keep him for the 6 years, try to win while you have him, right? You've got Konnor Griffin, who's another generational talent like Paul Skeens, and he could be in the big leagues this year. So you've got some really bright spots coming here. So take advantage of it and do what you have to do within your financial parameters to try to win. And for the first time since Ben Cherington has been the GM of the Pirates, they're having an offseason where they're trying. You know, Brandon Lowe comes in the trade with Tampa. That's a 30 home run bat if he can stay healthy. They bring in Ryan O'Hearn, who had the best year of his career last year. Now I'm guessing with the Ozuna signing today, O'Hearn will play right and they'll move Brian Reynolds back to left. That would be my guess, since O'Hearn's not going to DH now that Ozuna's there. But look, as long as Ozuna's hip's okay, he should still be able to hit you 20, 25 and drive in some big runs for them. So, look, I like the fact they're trying. I like the fact they're making progress. I would have liked them of been able to sign Eugenio Suarez or trade for Isaac Paredes and upgrade third base. I don't think they should be done, but I like where they are. And I think they're relevant again, and I think that's good for baseball.
They are relevant, but wouldn't one more move just look nice, Tim? One more, like you can find, you were a GM, you can go to, if you're Ben Cherington, you can go to Bob Nutting and say, look, Bob, we're here. We need $10 million to get us over the finish line, to really give us a chance to get to the postseason, really, really excite our fans, drive those people coming to the games, drive the people watching, drive everything that they need to make up that $10 million. I'm not saying it's Isaac Paredes, but find somebody out there that last move that people say, okay, we can actually really compete now for the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think Ben Cherington's trying to do that. I mean, he has been engaged quite a bit with Dana Brown, the general manager of Houston, for Paredes, just like Boston has been. They haven't matched up, but they keep having discussions. So he's out there trying. And look, I'll be surprised if he doesn't end up at some point upgrading at third base. And you don't necessarily have to spend money. You can go get a bat that, maybe becomes excess in another spot. But I agree. You don't stop now. They've done a really good job this offseason, and you keep the pedal to the metal. You don't stop. But I like the fact they've added a little bit of depth here. I mean, because I like Garcia, the outfielder they got from the Red Sox in an earlier trade this winter. And so now with O'Hearn and Cruz and Reynolds, now with O'Hearn in the outfield with Ozuna DHing, it gives you a little bit of depth, too, to help prepare for injuries, which is extremely important. And I think Konnor Griffin's the guy that's going to move the needle, you guys. I mean, let's be realistic. I know everyone's going to go, oh, he's 19 years old. So is Bryce Harper. Just stop it. Konnor Griffin's that guy. He's the teenager that can actually get to this level and hold his own. I'm not saying he's going to win Rookie of the Year and be the superstar, but I think he probably can hold his own. This guy's got great bat-to-ball skills. He's got speed. He's got power. He's a hitter. Foul pole to foul pole. And, he could be a huge difference maker for them. But to your point, yeah, keep going, AJ. Keep going.
As a huge difference maker, is it 6 weeks that the Pirates have right now, not to make a decision on Konnor Griffin, but to extend him? Do you think there's talks in Pittsburgh because the purse strings have been opened? And if you do, what's that money look like for Konnor Griffin before he ever sets a foot in the big leagues?
Yeah, I mean, he'll break records. I mean, that's what it'll look like. It'll be like nothing you've seen before. The days of signing the Acuna Albies deals are behind us. If I had to give a comp of what it would look like, to be more specific, Eric, I'm going to go with the Jackson Chourio contract on steroids.
Wow, that's a big one. On steroids, like, what does that mean? On steroids, like, what are we talking?
20% more
Than Chourio got.
Yep.
100 plus.
Would the Pirates lay that out though? Because they just got to 100 with Brian Reynolds. Would they lay that out there for a guy that hasn't really proven it yet?
No, I don't think the ownership would do that, but that's what they should do. I mean, you want to get Skeens and Konnor Griffin before they do it. Once they do it, good luck. That's when it gets the hardest. You need to sign these guys when you're taking on just as much risk or more as they are. That's when you have to get these deals done, or you can't. I mean, look at what the Reds offered L.A. De La Cruz, which was north of what Joey Votto got. They were going to make him the highest paid Red ever. And L.A. De La Cruz turned it down. I mean, but that's what it's going to take. If you want to sign Konnor Griffin, that's what it's going to take. Now, do I think the ownership in Pittsburgh is going to have an appetite to take that kind of risk and gamble and commit that kind of money? Yeah, I probably don't, but that is the right play in this marketplace.
Hey, JB, your thoughts on, what, here I am. Andrew McCutchen could, do at this point? Like, do you think he's going to want to field an offer from another team?
Yes.
What do you have on Kutcher?
Yeah, I just think the way the whole thing was handled.
Yes.
I mean, he's been the face of the franchise. He wasn't dealt with respect, and I think that's just really sad. If you're not going to bring the player back, then I think in September you have the conversation, offer him an Andrew McCutchen day, give him an opportunity to retire, and if he doesn't, still give him a day. But to have these kind of feelings afterwards, and look, Andrew McCutchen's a Pittsburgh guy. His family lives there, right? He's in that community. He is beloved in that community. I still think I'd bring him back if I were Ben Sherrington. I'd offer him a 1-year deal to be a depth play. If Ozuna gets hurt or you get an injury out there, to have him as your 26th guy and let him know this will be it. I probably would have done that. I'm not sure if he's going to find another home. His best play might be to have a press conference, retire, and let the Pirates honor him and have an Andrew McCutchen day and do that. It's just unfortunate that we've gotten here.
Do you see that as a GM? Do you see that ahead of time that, like, oh man, we're going to try to win next year. We're probably not going to bring him back based on, or is that not something that's on your radar and you're just like, hey, we're trying to do what we can each day? Because it feels like they did Kutch dirty, but I also understand from the Pirates sense, like they're like, he's not good enough to be on this team, or we didn't need to offer him as much as we did Marcell Ozuna.
I think you owe it to, I think a player like Andrew McCutchen is different than most players. I think when he gave the kind of service time he did to Pittsburgh and what he meant to the organization for the amount of years that it was, you owe him that. And if you get to a point where you're not sure he can help you anymore, you just be straight up with the player and let him know. Or, sit down and let him know. Say, look, we'll offer you 1 year, $4 million. That's how we value you. We're not going to give more. If you want to retire, we get it. If you want to come back, we'd love you to finish your career in Pittsburgh. If you do come back, this is going to be your last year here. I mean, just communicate, be honest, be transparent, be upfront. But ahead of time, this is not something that as a GM you're living day by day and seeing what happens. You know what the player is. You know what he can still do. You know what he can't do. You know his age. You know the decline. You know all of those issues. Just be honest with the player, because the relationship with the player isn't just as a player. It should be a relationship you have with him years and years after playing. He should be a guy that's always involved in the Pirate organization, whether it be in the front office or in the community or charities or coming back for, different reunions. The relationship with a player like McCutchen is very, very important to the Pirates, long and short term.
Agreed. I just felt like they should have done the Wakefield thing where hey, you get 1 year, $5 million for as long as you want to take it, and we'll figure out the roster and we'll figure out a spot, because the Red Sox did it and they were still competitive and they were able to let Tim come and pitch, for those years. So I just feel like that was one of those ones that it's a PR miss, but he should not play for another team. I mean, unless he just absolutely wants to play no matter what. It's just, I know he's already played for some other teams, but to me, he should end his career as a Pirate and go into the Pirates Hall of Fame and be around, like you said, Jim. So I totally agree with you on this one. Now, let's go to another team in that division, the Brewers. Caleb Durbin had a nice year for him. Was this just straight up Caleb Durbin and Monasterio because they wanted the pitching they got back from the Red Sox? Because this one, Durbin's controllable for a long time. Do they just need a pitcher? Did they like the return that much that they had to give up a piece that was really good for him last year?
Yeah, I reached out to Matt Arnold this morning. I've not heard back from him. Caleb Durbin was the best player that was in this trade. He's going to be the starting third baseman for the Red Sox. I know Craig Breslow came out and said second or third base. But like Brendan Donovan in Seattle, the plan, at least initially, is to play third base, which makes sense kind of where they are. Then Meyer can play second, or Gonzalez can play second if Meyer's wrist is okay. But that's where that's going to play. I was kind of taken aback a little bit when I heard the news, only because I've never seen Kyle Harrison with control and command. I've seen the arm, I see the delay, I see everything. I just don't know if it's going to get there. But, the one thing that really hit me again today is he's 24 years old. That's it. Been around a long time, but he's still only 24 and left-handed and with that kind of arm. So, do you have people in your pitching room that you can improve the secondary pitches? Can you improve the delivery, the release point? Can you improve the command and control? If my pitching people think they can, I had to trade Peralta for Sproat. You never get enough starting pitching. And look, the Brewers stockpile it. My guess is going to be that they think Harrison eventually, whether it be in a year or two, can become a guy. And look, I remember way back when I had a pitcher by the name of Pete Shurik. I claimed him on waivers from the New York Mets, and he didn't have command and control. The velo was a little bit down, and then my pitching coach at the time, Don Gullett, made some adjustments, and I was needing a starting pitcher, and I flew into Pittsburgh to scout Zane Smith at the time. And I always tell the story that I went to Pittsburgh to scout Zane Smith, and I came back with my own Pete Shurik, because all of a sudden the pitching people made adjustments with him. He finished second in Cy Young Award the next year, and he was a waiver claim. And so Kyle Harrison at this age, is it possible that they maybe have a secret formula? That's the only thing I can think of. Now, that being said, the other thing to keep in mind is that they do have, guys coming in the system, Pratt and Fisher. Made is going to be a superstar, but he's a couple years away, but he's going to be a star. And the other thing is you could put Ortiz to third. You could move Terrance from second to short and play Jet Williams at second base. Or you could leave Terrance at second, put Jet at short with Ortiz at third. So, the Jet Williams trade may have made them believe that Durbin was kind of expendable, perhaps. But, I look at Durbin kind of like I looked at Brendan Donovan. I think he's a very useful player who plays above his tools. He's 5'7", but he doesn't chase out of the zone. He keeps the bat in the zone. You know, he's dirty by the national anthem and can play second, third, and a few positions. So I like the pickup for Boston. Although I will say this, Rafael Devers, what did you get back for Devers? Jose Bayo now? Oh my God.
They got rid of money. Speaking of money, the Brewers haven't spent any. I get it. They got Big Woo back on a higher price. Maybe they didn't think he was going to come back on the qualifying offer, but third base is open. Leave Terrance at second where he won a platinum glove, and they said, hey, we're not moving him to short because he's so good at second. Does this open up an Isaac Paredes type of move for them because they haven't spent any money? Not at all.
No, because that's not a Matt Arnold kind of player. He's not athletic enough, not good enough defensively to play over there. You know, Matt Arnold likes these athletes that have range. You know, he's really big on athletes and gloves, and Paredes just doesn't fit that for them. So, yeah, I haven't heard Paredes there at all. And the other thing to keep in mind, you know, Dana Brown, the GM, and I know he's on the last year of his contract, as is his manager, Joe Espada, and he has been out there. But keep in mind, the Astros also understand they have a lot of players on this team that are high injury risk. Christian Walker, Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Carlos Correa. All of them are high injury risk. And you got to think that probably one of them is going to be on the injured list most of the year, at least one of them at a time. So as much as Paredes looks like depth, will he look like depth on opening day? That's a question that I would ask. And Alvarez, you know, look, he really does need a DH here. So what Houston was trying to do is they were trying to trade Paredes to fill left field. And if they could have done a package to get Jarren Duran from Boston, that would have made sense. So if it was Paredes and some prospects for Duran, then they put Duran in left, Alvarez at DH with Correa at third, Walker at first, Altuve at second. That's kind of what they were trying to do. But they don't have to move Paredes because of money. They're where they want to be, where the owner wants to be budget-wise. So it's not like they're trying to move him. They're just trying to move him if they can find a better fit and help them win more games.
Okay. So for Boston, JB, they essentially choose Durbin over Paredes. And I just want to go through Durbin's StatCast page to try and get a glimpse of how front offices view a player like this. I think some Brewers fans are like, whoa, we traded him in 5 seconds. That's a pretty unique baseball savant page, right? There's tons of blue that are in the bottom percentiles, and then there's some red that is way up there. And just for our podcast crowd, I'll just lay out a few parts here, JB, but his expected stats like batting average, slugging on base, pretty low, right? Exit velo, barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, bat speed, like towards the bottom of the sport. But then squared up percentage, chase percentage, whiff percentage, strikeout percentage. So he makes contact, but this was something that was talked about when he was a player in the Yankees system. The Yankees love the reverse of this, right, JB? They're looking for these big power mashers, bat speed, exit velo. Makes sense he moves to the Brewers. If the Brewers say no to a player like this, do you think there's any reasoning for teams, you know, and their front offices not believing in the metrics?
So the metrics tell the truth, right? They do. It's science. It's being measured. So, you know, what you're reading is accurate. You know, I think Jim Leyland, the Hall of Fame manager, you know, would always call a player like Durbin, oh, he's just a baseball player. I can win with him. He's a baseball player. And, you know, you can't have a team filled with the Durbins, but that's that extra piece that sits there and makes the plays defensively, takes the extra base, throws a nice throw on a cutoff play, gets a good secondary lead. It's just a guy that knows how to play the game and is tough and helps players around him the energy that he brings to the ballpark every day. So he's got a lot of intangibles. And, you know, I think front offices like the fact he doesn't chase, like the fact that he squares it up. You know, we've seen a lot of guys that, you know, don't do well on StatCast numbers, right? In general, guys that don't have good bat speed, but still win batting titles like Luis Ariz. I mean, those guys are out there. So you just have to interpret it. You know, to me, when I look at Durbin, I look at him as a really good extra player on a championship team. I look at him as that fifth infielder type, right? That's kind of how I view him. I kind of view him as like a poor man's Brendan Donovan. You know, not Brendan Donovan because he's more of a, you know, traffic guy at the top of the lineup. but he's a winning player. And, I can see why Boston wanted him. And I don't think they wanted him over Paredes. They wanted him over the trade cost. What they would have had to give up for Paredes was significantly more than what they gave up here. I mean, they realized they blew the Devers trade, right? They don't think Harrison's going to get command and control, and they don't think the other guy's got a good arm, but same thing, right? Neither one of those guys have control. And so I think they feel like, here's a quality guy as they wait for, Marcelo Meyer to develop, or, they wait for their other young prospects to get ready. I don't think he's an answer that's going to, really move the needle outside of he is an Alex Cora type player. Alex Cora will know how to get the most out of Durbin.
Red Sox fans thought this was the time the Red Sox were going to push all in, and this is most likely their last move of the offseason. And even Craig Breslow said, when we go get pitching, we're looking for a 1 or a 2 to go behind Garrett Crochet. Well, they just kind of tickled around the decisions that it feels like they didn't quite push all the way in. Like you said, the price for the trade was too much. The price for a Framber Valdez was too much. It always just seemed like they came up with a reason not to make the big move. Did they fail this offseason, or did they just kind of meddle in the middle?
Well, I think they did a good job with the pitching, right? I mean, I do like the blend of Sonny Gray and Ranger Suarez after Crochet in the rotation. And they're now 7-8 deep in starters. Bullpen's strong. So I think from a pitching perspective, they're in a good place. I think their outfield defense is in a really good place, and offense. I'm a little bit concerned about the infield, with an aging Trevor Story. The other thing to me, though, is they're just missing that big bat. I mean, I don't know if there's a way they could trade for a Rafael Devers. Oh, sorry. I couldn't resist.
Too soon.
Or maybe they could sign an Alex Brett. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. But I mean, that's what they're missing. They're missing a big bat. So, you're looking at this lineup now. Is Contreras a cleanup hitter now with Abreu hitting fifth? Is that kind of where they're going? I feel like the bottom third of the lineup is going to be a challenge, and you're in a really tough division when you got Toronto, the Yankees, and the Orioles, all of whom have way better offenses than you do. So as much as I love their outfield, I do love their pitching. I just don't know if their offense is lethal enough to win. I don't think they've done enough on the offensive side of their team.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are on the same page with that one, waiting for Boston to do something else, but it appears they won't at this point.
They had Mookie Betts.
Oh, you really want to go back? Okay, we're playing that game today on a Monday. Hey, JB, happy baseball season to you. I know you put the tweet out, and I always look for it, right? Football's done. We're moving on. We're getting the photos and the videos of the stars over at spring training kind of getting going. Pitchers and catchers official, I think, later this week. And your show just launched. It's only about a week old, GM Territory. So just want to tell everyone one more time. Second episode is live right now. NL West grades and notes from the weekend, including JB breaking down more of these deals with Jim and with Trey Bowden. Go check it out right now. Go give that YouTube channel a subscribe, please. Approaching 1,000 subs already, and on the podcast platforms as well. Thank you, JB. Always a pleasure.
Okay.
We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you all.
Appreciate you too. Hey, sometimes we do a little game on Foul Territory called Role Play. It's not what you think. We're just picking up our phones and we're talking as if we're somebody in baseball. But if you'd like that phone to be a little bit cheaper for making phone calls, who should you call, Kratz?
Mint Mobile, because you get all the same speed with a tiny little price.
Same coverage, tiny price. Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Save money. Get after it, FT fam.
I can't wait to stay with Michael again in about a week.
You guys gonna shake it up? That'll be nice.
I can't wait for him to sleep in the same room as me.
You guys aren't doing that anymore.
I know, thank God, because otherwise someone might not make it back from Arizona.
I think everybody on FTU might not make it back, but we'll talk more about spring training schedule at some point, maybe tomorrow. Let's keep rolling on this trade right now with the Red Sox picking up Caleb Durbin. I mean, when you see that headline this morning, that's a shocker, isn't it?
Well, just shocker because the Brewers, I guess Hamilton is going to replace what Caleb Durbin can do, but then, the way, and then Jet Williams, it's like, but then I guess they want Harrison really bad. I mean, Monasterio got some big hits for him. Let's not
Drohan's
forget.
nice too. Drohan
and they have
was one of their
youngsters.
bigger prospects.
Yeah, Fisher, what was he, their first round pick last year, and he's going to play in the WBC. They're waiting for those guys, but it's like you're trying to have the best record in baseball and make the playoffs again.
Are they?
And I think they are. And now,
have they spent any money in free agency? I know Woodruff in his qualifying offer, but have they signed anybody in free agency?
I don't think so. I was trying to look it up before the show, and I don't think they have. Unless I thought they made a signing early, and it was like, I know it wasn't Colin Ray, but it was like that type of starter signing where it was like, okay, I see where they're at, but it's not like replacing Freddie Peralta. I don't know. Scotty's better at that stuff.
I don't believe so. I think, Woodruff and arbitration avoidance with Jake Bowers, but nothing.
But they've traded away a lot. Freddie Peralta,
a lot.
Tobias Myers, Durbin, Monasterio. These are guys that were like on their team.
Mm-hmm.
They're counting on Mizorowski to be able to start for them, right? They're counting on Brandon Woodruff, who hasn't been healthy, sadly, in a long time for a full season. Right? I mean, they're counting on guys, Quinn Priester and some of these guys, to have really great years that haven't done it multiple times in a row. I mean, last year they brought in Quintana, who helped them a huge amount, right? They brought in Rhys Hoskins, who say what you want. They brought in Ranger Vaughn, who went off to help them. They did make some moves last year to help them. They made the trade for Durbin. So last year they were doing things, and this year it's like, okay, yes, I understand Jet Williams and some of the other things they've done, but they're not. At some point, you got to play in the big boy pool. We always say this, and right now the Brewers are not, and they've had success, so I can't knock them, but they haven't had that much success because this is the first year they won a playoff series in a long time too.
Are they okay with just making the playoffs? Like that's my thing. Are they okay with doing that? Because if that's the case, then you know what? Man, they got this cool formula to make the playoffs. As a Brewer fan, yes, I am a fan of the Brewers, the organization, the people in the front office, the way everything's run. It's cool stories. But how can you get rid of two guys who finished third and fourth in the National League and Rookie of the Year voting? Did they win it? No, they didn't win it. Isaac Collins and Caleb Durbin are off this team. They were guys that personified what the Brewers are. Are they getting rid of them because it's max value? Okay. How many times can you keep hitting on that? How many times can you have a team? Then they have their superstar. They have Jackson Churio. Can he stay healthy? He's still learning how to stay healthy and be a player in the game. Does Bryce Terrance take his August, September and become an MVP candidate because he's got an elite glove? I don't know if he's got that level. He's an all-star. So you have your pieces on the team, but the last few years, everyone's like, oh, they've done this the last few years. They had Josh Hader. They had Devin Williams. They had Freddie Peralta. They had Corbin Burns. They had all those guys throughout that time. It's a lot to put on The Miz. It's a lot to put on Big Woo to carry this team if you keep decimating it, unless they really do find this value in Kyle Harrison and in Drohan, in Hamilton being that guy that steps in as the next piece. It's tough to see as a Brewer, as a fan of the Brewers.
I'm with you. I mean, this team had the best record in baseball. Mm-hmm. They got dusted by the Dodgers. And you look at their offseason and you're like, do they believe this is their winning window? Are they trying to play the percentages game of how many cracks can we get at the postseason and eventually it'll work? They've been doing that for a decade.
Yeah, but again, I'm going to say this, and listen, the National League is really hard.
Yeah.
right now. The way the National League is set up, it's really hard.
But they were the best record in baseball last
but
year.
but then I'll ask this. I know didn't like sweep the Dodgers in the regular season. The Dodgers just pounded them in the playoffs.
Sure.
Right? They also lost the first 4 games. The torpedo bats of the Yankees. They lost the first 4 games like 100-6. Right? Murph made a joke about it in his speech. But being great in the regular season, and Kratz says this, he thinks there's regular season teams and there's playoff teams. Being great in the regular season, if you don't win the World Series, and how many World Series have the Brewers ever won in their history of the franchise?
Zero.
How many times have they been to the World Series?
Once.
1982.
Okay.
Harvey's Wallbangers lost to the Cardinals. So they haven't gotten to 82. Okay, we're 44 years from then.
They don't believe in the all-in thing.
They do believe in all-in, but they can only do what they're given. Right? I think Matt Arnold does a terrific job with what he's given to work with. He's like I just blanked on the guy in Seattle.
Dipoto? Yeah.
Right? Dipoto's given a budget, and he tries to make all these moves to try to make them better, but he has to keep a certain budget, right? It's kind of what the Rays did for so long. They were like, we got to keep it around this payroll, and they would flip guys here and there. The Brewers are trying to do that, and they've had success doing it, much like the Rays. The Rays haven't won a World Series either, right? But eventually that bubble burst, and then you almost got to start over with a new crew. Sorry, Brew Crew. I didn't mean that was not intentional.
No, that played well.
But you have to start over with like a new crew, right?
Isn't that what the Rays are going through right now?
The Rays are kind of going through it right now because also the American League East has gotten better because Toronto now is really good. The Yankees are usually pretty good. The Red Sox went through a little lull. Now they're coming it back, right? The Orioles finally got it figured out a little bit. So now the Rays are like, man, shit, we got to do something different. So now they're trying something different, right? The thing with the Brewers they've also caught the Cardinals have been in a down ride. The Pirates haven't been good for 10 years. The Cubs have been, they won in 2016, but since then they've kind of been meh, right? So the division also is kind of lined up for them where, hey, Burns, Peralta, Woodruff, all these guys. I mean, Yelich is a year older. Yelich can't make it through a full year anymore. And it sucks because he's really good when he's out there, right? Contreras is about at the end of his Brewer tenure.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're like, okay, well, who are we counting on? And they keep making these trades. But at some point, you have to hit on every single one of these.
They're becoming the Rays. They can turn some
They're
pitchers
really good.
into stars, and there's massive amounts of churn, and it's causing them to be competitive every year. Like you said, how much of that has to do with all of this success in the organization, and some of it to do with a very down division over the last few
But they're
years.
really good at it. They've been successful, so you can't knock them, right?
Yeah,
Matt Arnold's been really good at it.
It's just frustrating to not. I don't think this is a front office.
But the
thing.
ballpark
this is probably an
is
owner
packed.
thing. Yeah, like you didn't make any extra money last year.
The ballpark was packed, right? They beat the Cubs in 5 games in the DS.
Right.
I mean, they obviously they lost to the Dodgers, but I mean, they I don't know what else you want if you're a Brewer. If you're a Brewers fan, like they come to every game I do for Fox. There is packed. I mean, not an empty seat in the place, and they go crazy and they love their guys. They love their team.
I know
it's like the Bucks. Like they have the Bucks too, right, in Milwaukee, right? So they have the Bucks really in the Brewers. Okay, Green Bay is not in Milwaukee. It's not. It's like 2 hours away, right? Whatever. But they love those teams. I mean, you walk around Milwaukee, you see Brewers stuff everywhere, and you see Bucks stuff everywhere. They support the heck out of that team.
Can I throw this out there? Because I think this is the comp. I feel as if the Diamondbacks' approach is a little more boom or bust. And then all of a sudden they end up, say, 2023 in the World Series, right? They make some moves that it's like, this is going to really work or this is going to be a disaster. I feel like the Brewers are super safe. So their ceiling, I think, is lower and their floor is higher. I'd rather be a Diamondbacks fan in terms of the way that the team looks at themselves, right? There's some guys that you know are going to be there for a while. It causes some continuity. You take some big risks, and some years you go through a mini rebuild at the very least. And I think fans are okay with that if they felt like they had that all-in push. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're just like, I want my team to be good every year and be borderline or playoffs every year.
Would you rather have a team that makes the playoffs and never wins a World Series?
No question.
We're about to talk to Noah Hiles. What city is he in?
He is in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I'm saying no question. I want the team that's going for it and then
because Mike Tomlin just resigned. Noah Hiles covered him. Mike Tomlin, 19 straight years, never had a losing record. He won 1 Super Bowl. Okay? But the last, I don't know how many ever years since he won that Super Bowl, they've been 9-8, 10-6, but they lose in the first round every year. Do you want that team? The Atlanta Braves, for all those years, they won all those division championships. They won one World Series. The Brewers, the last how many ever years have made the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, we're great, guys. We're in the playoffs. Let's go, team. And then they lose.
It's
like, or would you rather have the Diamondbacks who have won a World Series? Now it was 25 years ago.
Yeah,
but they
you
got to
ask a fan. You got to ask a Brewers fan. Not just a fan of baseball.
Okay.
You got to ask a Brewers fan because they're exactly like, I know we're going to get to Noah, but they're exactly like what AJ said. Brewers fans are there. They support the Bucks. They support the Brewers. They support the loser players like me, just like they support the superstars like Yelly and Churio. Like, they really delve into their team. So that question, I think, has to be asked by that fan base. Do the Guardians won a World Series or just every other year in the playoffs type of run? Do the Brewers won a World Series or 7 straight playoff runs where your heart gets broken, or 7 of 8?
The Diamondbacks is a very recent example. It's 2023. They were in the National League. National League was pretty loaded, and they figured out a way to get through. So,
they had unbelievable. They first of all, they got hot as all hell, fire and brimstone for those 2 weeks.
Sure.
The Phillies, they're down 3-1. It never should have happened. Mm-hmm. And they just said, you know what, Phillies? We're just going to throw you slider on every pitch. And their Phillies were like, we've never seen one of those before. We forgot how to hit
for balls. Fastballs for balls in and sliders.
I mean, that was dirt. 3 straight games. That's all they did. Fastballs in, ball. Oh, they're going to throw me another one. Slider, slider, slider. Oh, fastball for ball. It was like, and they couldn't beat them. And then they ran into the Rangers, who obviously took them down in the 23 World Series. But are you happier with that? Once every 10 years, you make a deep run to the World Series?
It's not like you don't make the playoffs at all around that. I'm just saying you have more variance. You have a few years where you're a contender. You have a few years where you're not.
So you'd rather just be Mike Tomlin?
No. Me, I want the Diamondbacks. That's my whole point. I want the ride. Give me the ride. So
you want to be the Dolphins?
Is that what they do?
They haven't won a playoff game since like 2000.
Then no, I don't want that.
Or the Jets? I mean,
the Dolphins are a good comp for our next guest. So let's get to them. Noah Hiles joining us right now. You can hear him on Bucko Territory. I'm wearing the shirt. I love the logo. BuckoTerritoryShop.com. Also, sports enterprise reporter and columnist for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Noah, great to have you on. Let's go to that Marcell Ozuna signing for the Pirates. And I want you to open everyone's eyes to your column and why it's nice to see this move, but it is also a product of perhaps a mismanaged offseason in terms of who they targeted.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say it's a mismanaged offseason. I think it more just highlights the realities of the Pirates offseason. Had they operated this way in past offseasons, they wouldn't have been used for leverage by every free agent they essentially tried to acquire this offseason. And because that happened, because the likes of Kyle Schwarber, Josh Naylor, Gino Suarez, Framber Valdez, you go on, just said, okay, Pirates are interested. Anybody else? And then they chose anybody else. The Pirates had to take what they could get. And what they could get didn't necessarily fit the needs of their team altogether. Now, their overall need was to add offense, yes. But after acquiring Lau and O'Hearn in the same week, those needs became a little bit more specific. They were getting a little bit of overlap on that right side of the infield, the right side of the outfield, and heck, even the designated hitter position. And when you don't have the credibility of as an organization to just go out and directly acquire a quality player at a specific position that meets a specific need, that's a problem. And I think that's the big story of the Pirates offseason is they found some decent players, but they had to take what they could get. And that's not, the best takeaway for an organization if you're asking me. I mean, Marcell Ozuna, does he make this offense better? Sure. I mean, this team had one player hit 20 home runs last year. They just added 2 in the offseason, plus Ryan O'Hearn, who was an all-star designated hitter. So yes, this offense is better, but when you look at all of the additions now, how does Ozuna's arrival impact some of the other bats in this lineup? You're probably going to be asking more from O'Hearn defensively. You're going to be asking more from Reynolds probably defensively. And do those extra asks take away from their offensive output? And if so, did this team actually get better? I don't really know. I mean, I think on paper, yeah, they have a better offense. And that's probably the big takeaway here overall, is that they needed slugging percentage, and they went out and got it this offseason. But because of their organizational reputation and their inability to overpay to erase it, they had to take what they can get rather than directly acquiring guys who met their specific needs.
Okay, well then why didn't they, Noah? Why didn't they go after the guys that fit their needs? You mentioned Schwarber, and you mentioned all the big free agents, right? Gino Suarez, we keep saying, oh, they were in on him. They were in on Schwarber, and they were in on Fromber, and they were in on this. Were they really in, though? Because if they really wanted these guys, they would go get them. That's my thing. Like, is it more of, hey, we didn't get Fromber Valdez, but we got Marcell Ozuna to a 1-year deal. Hey, we didn't get Kyle Schwarber, but we traded for Brandon Lau, right? And we signed Ryan O'Hearn. And these guys are good players that they got, but they're not what you say, which is fit the exact needs of the team. Now they have, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but they got a bunch of DHs that are going to be running around the outfield in PNC Park, which right field is small, but left and center are gigantic. So it's going to be interesting to see how the defense plays, but also, like, why didn't they just go get the guys they need? Pay the extra. I've said this on the show a million times. You're going to have to overpay if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, because teams won't take you serious and they'll just use your offer to go get the offer they want.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I echoed the same thing on Bucko territory. I echoed it in my writing. I mean, that was something that was known from the moment they went out and said, hey, we're going to try to be different this offseason. We're going to try to do things differently. You know, you don't get credit for offering the same thing everyone else is offering, because historically you've been a worse workplace. You don't normally pay as well. You certainly don't win as often. And just organizationally, your reputation isn't great. So in order to overcome that, if you really want these players, you have to go the extra mile. I think they probably did go the extra mile on O'Hearn. But, I mean, the rest of this, I mean, Lau didn't have a say. They traded for him. He came here. You know, every other deal they signed was a 1-year deal. And in Ozuna's case, I mean, you look, guys are reporting to spring training this week. Everyone's looking to, you know, finalize a certain situation. I mean, he checks certain boxes, right? They needed a right-handed bat. They needed additional slug. But yeah, I agree with you, AJ. I mean, this was an opportunity for them to make a statement. And even if they did overpay, which again was super necessary to do, they would have made that money back. I really do think that, like, if fans saw the organization actually recognize and take accountability for its situation and say, you know what, we've saved so much money in recent years by not overspending, that we can overspend just this once on a player that is a direct need, both, you know, positionally and what he contributes from value. Fans would have showed up to the ballpark more, and I still think they will. I still think fans overall are encouraged by this offseason, but like you mentioned, I mean, now they have to figure out this weird puzzle where you're going to have one of the worst defensive outfields in baseball. And that's not necessarily a recipe for success for a team that's built to win through its pitching. I mean, the strengths of this team heading into the offseason were starting pitching, and I would say overall team defense, especially in the infield. I think both of those areas got worse. Now, the offense got better, but this is still a team that's going to need to win on the margins. They're not going to overpower many opponents. They're not going to win a lot of 10-9 ball games. And when you're sacrificing defensive runs saved just to get guys who are going to slug a couple points above league average, how much better did you really get? I don't know.
Do they still have a little bit of money left for Isaac Paredes?
I didn't think they had this much money left. I mean, honestly, I mean, like, you look, and I know this has been brought up everywhere, that this move essentially marks the end for Andrew McCutchen in Pittsburgh. The reason I thought McCutchen made sense was just because he would give them a little bit more money to spend. Now, if they have more money to spend, then absolutely go get Paredes. I think this team looks a lot better if you go get a third baseman and a left-handed starting pitcher. You feel a lot better with that roster, or at least a utility infielder, because right now they only have one person who knows how to play third base, Jared Triolo, and he might need to be your opening day shortstop if Konnor Griffin isn't ready. So, yeah, they need to make an addition in the infield. They probably need to make some pitching additions as well. I don't see a lot of guys they could really trade away to clear up money. So that either tells me they're going to be banking on some, minor league camp invites or try to find a last second bargain toward the end of February like they have in the past. I personally, Paredes, I know that they're still reportedly in the mix for him. The name I've been hearing just from conversations is Vientos, is the guy that I think is probably more realistic. I still don't know how realistic that would be for the Pirates, but he's certainly more in their financial wheelhouse. And I think the demand for him would be far less than Paredes.
When Andrew McCutchen made it up to the big leagues and he signed his extension, he joked with me. He goes, "Well, I know what year I'm getting traded." And I was like, "Well, what is that?" He said, "It's the year that I'm going to make this much in my contract." I was like, "Why is that?" Because Bob Nutting doesn't go over that price. Is $15,250,000 that new price? And is that where we can see like they stopped short? Because Brian Reynolds, he's not going to make more than that on his contract. Before, the number was $10 million, and they gave $10 million to Ke'Bryan Hayes in his first year of his extension, and then it went down. Is that number $15 million? And you can just look at it and say, okay, well, that's not what they're going to give anybody. And does that mean Paul Skeens' time is now cut by another year short based on what Tarek Skubal just got?
I think the Skeens thing is probably a more relevant point to the Pirates. I don't know if Bob Nutting still has that specific number. I know in Mitch Keller's deal, he's set to eventually make more than that. And that might explain why they're trying to trade him this offseason, but I digress. But the Skeens thing is a legitimate concern because I can't even begin to fathom what his first year of ARB will look like. If he's going into that a back-to-back Cy Young winner pre-ARB and this market after a potentially new CBA is negotiated, he might be out of their price range right then and there. And the longer you keep him, the lesser his trade value goes down. So that's obviously something to monitor. But yeah, it's just, I don't necessarily think the 1 year value is something Nutting shies away from. I think it's just as simple as he gives his general manager a number at the beginning of the offseason and says, this is your number that you have to spend on everything from, the $40,000 a year entry level data analysis guys on your baseball ops staff to your highest paid free agent. And you have to find a way to make it all work. And don't really come asking for more because it's probably not going to happen. That's kind of how it's always worked in Pittsburgh. And so because of that, because you have to fill so many spots on the roster, it makes more sense to have your best player making $15 million so you can have a couple more guys making $5 to $10 million as opposed to one guy making $30 million and everyone else playing for league minimum. That's just kind of the reality of how this club operates.
Hey, Noah, Konnor Griffin you mentioned, and he's number one prospect. Is it okay if he comes up, and plays shortstop? Is he going to play third? I know shortstop's his position. Would they just say, hey, you're our shortstop, go get him at 19 and see what happens? And then if he fails, maybe, send him down and bring him back up? Or do they not want to, or do they want to avoid that because that seems like the move to make now is like, just throw him out there and see what happens?
Yeah, I'll honestly be shocked if he's not on the opening day lineup at this point. If he goes out this spring and bats 100, or if he, God forbid, gets injured, those are the only two scenarios where I don't see him making the team because, again, they don't have a true shortstop on this roster. Right now, it's probably going to be Nick Gonzalez, who's a second baseman, and wasn't that great of a defensive second baseman, as is. Now, I think injury might have had something to do with that, but nonetheless, Konnor Griffin is the best defensive infielder in this organization, not named Jared Triolo. Triolo is the best defender, but he's going to be their everyday third baseman because he's the only guy who knows how to play that position. That's big league ready right now. So their left side of the infield is very thin. That's why, again, I really think they could benefit from adding a utility guy who could play both spots because, what happens if Griffin, who I think we all can agree has a very high chance of being a productive Major League Baseball player, but what happens if, he can't figure it out at 19 years old? What do you do then? Because you're already sacrificing offense at third base to have a great defensive player. But are you going to let a 19-year-old struggle through an entire rookie campaign when maybe he's showing that he needs some time in AAA? like other guys his age have shown earlier in their career, I think that would be bad for everyone involved. So I do think, yes, they need to add some depth there. Konnor Griffin probably is still the primary option. I don't see them going out and acquiring a shortstop who they think could be better than Konnor Griffin this year. But I do think they need someone who has a utility background, who can play both spots on the left side of the infield, that can kind of be a high floor emergency case in case of an injury or just, a 19-year-old not being ready for the major leagues yet.
And by the way, if the Pirates don't know if he's ready by now, you can't look at his spring training numbers. If he hits 100, if he hits 700 and say, oh man, he didn't make the team because he hit 100. That would be the excuse they use if he doesn't make the team, but that tells me they didn't think he was ready. Anyways, so that's I hate that. Oh, if he hits 100. Now, if he gets hurt, I understand. But if he hits 100, that cannot be the Pirates' excuse. He's either ready or he's not. However he does in spring training is irrelevant in this conversation. But we're going to move on. We had a super chat here, and it's about the Pirates, and it's one of those things. It needs to be said, Pirates had to spend. They aren't draft lottery eligible next year either. Thank you, Kutch, for everything we needed. Bad upgrades. What Schnoa? I guess he's Schnoa?
Yeah,
Schnoa is saying is what the White Sox went through, what I think the Rockies went through it. If you finish in a certain area, you can't draft till 10th no matter what, right? You can't win first. And also, I'm going to throw this on top of there, Schnoa. Certain teams have been asked to spend because there's a CBA coming up, and they want teams to say, hey, look, guys, we've actually spent money. We don't need this so-called floor that everyone's asking for. We can spend money when we need to. The A's have done it. Now the Pirates are doing it. The Marlins, for some reason, still haven't. But what are your thoughts on this and what it means for why the Pirates are spending?
No, I think you're spot on, AJ. I think that had an absolutely huge influence on this desire to spend a little bit more this offseason. Because if you go back and review the rhetoric of the front office the day after the offseason, they stated numerous times, team president Travis Williams being the main culprit, that the resources that they had was more than enough, that they just need to allocate them better, which just is factually incorrect because they haven't won a division since 1992. So, yeah, I do think that there's no coincidence in the fact that Evan Drellich reported the notion of what you're saying, AJ, and I believe it was in late October in The Athletic, and then sure enough, yeah, the Pirates' payroll is going up, and it's going up despite them probably having less revenue coming in last season because their attendance dipped, because they weren't a very good baseball team. So, yeah, I think that, and then you also just look at their financial commitments. None of the money they spent this year will be on the books past 2027. I mean, they only signed one multi-year deal, and that was O'Hearn for 2 years. Everybody else has been a one-year deal, or they acquired pre-arb guys like Mangum and Garcia. So, yeah, they spent a whole bunch of, or not a whole bunch. They spent money to get over that $100 million payroll mark to make it look like they're trying. And heck, I mean, Pirate fans don't care what the reason is behind it. They just want to see this team get better. And it did get better. I just think if it was, coming from the true intention of wanting to actually win and compete and maybe win the National League Central, which I think was very doable if this team's payroll just got up to like $120 million, they could have probably spent it better on things that address direct needs.
That's fair. That's fair. Agreed. All right. Before we let you go, I see you're a Mountain Union fan. They used to be good at football, right? They were good. They won a couple times.
We stopped giving money to the school. They haven't won a national title since 2017.
Exactly. They stink. They stink. So, but here's my question. Before you came on, we had this whole argument about the Pirates now, or it was more the Brewers and the Diamondbacks, right? The Brewers. They make the playoffs, but they never win. Kind of like the Steelers under Mike Tomlin since 2010 have kind of made the playoffs, but they never get to where they are. Would you rather be a team like Scott brought up the Diamondbacks, right? Where every once in a while they just go for it, they make a deep run, and they might suck for a couple of years, but then they go for it again when they see the opportunity. So how should Pittsburgh fans feel about this? And do you agree with that assessment that the Brewers are kind of, we get there, but we never make the final push? Or would you rather be a team, and we're using the Diamondbacks, and just throws it all in every once in a while and makes that push?
I think championship appetites are developed over circumstance, right? Like if you're asking a Pirates fan right now, I think every Pirates fan would kill to have the similar run that the Steelers went on, where they were just, barely sneaking into the playoffs, get the doors blown off every year in the opening round. But hey, it worked out, right? Because they haven't seen a lot of playoff baseball. I mean, I'm 30 years old. I've lived in Pittsburgh almost all of my life, and I think I've watched this team play, what would that have been? 7 playoff games total in my life. So I think, yeah, Pirate fans would sign up for what the Brewers are doing right now, or even if they could get 8 of 10 years like the Cincinnati Reds had last year, going 83-79, and just absolutely looking like they didn't even belong on the field with the Dodgers last year. They would sign up for that because that's been such a foreign thing. Now, when you show to be capable of reaching the playoffs consistently, those expectations change. That's where you see, Steelers fans going absolutely nuts over Mike Tomlin because this city's known for winning Super Bowls. So the expectation, the standard, as Mike Tomlin liked to call it, was a little different on the gridiron compared to the baseball field. So, I mean, in Milwaukee, it's interesting because, I mean, they've never won a World Series. And it does feel like they are appreciative for the consistent success despite their small market limitations and everything. Whereas, I don't know. I think it's a fan base by fan base thing. I think it goes into how the other teams in that town are playing. I think it goes into the organization's history. It's certainly a new thing. But I think, yeah, if you could tell any Pirate fan, sign this and the Pirates will make the playoffs 4 of every 10 years a decade, 4 years of every decade, they would sign without even knowing what the ramifications were.
But you have Mike McCarthy. They have Mike McCarthy now. And just for reference, the Pirates haven't won a World Series since 1979. So, I mean, they're not that far. If you go back to I think they've won 2 in the time that the Brewers have been as franchise. Yeah. The Brewers have won none, but the Pirates haven't won one in we're going on almost 50 years now.
Sure.
Which is insane.
Yeah. That's quite the boomer bust.
That's definitely boomer bust.
Hey, we're good for one in 79, then it's going to be a minute, but maybe again in
29 every 50 years.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Hey, championship's a championship. Noah, good stuff. Great to have you on as always. And check out Noah's work in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette this morning. And of course, I'll plug Bucko Territory on the way out. Thanks, bud.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me on.
And there it is, Bucko Territory. I've got the shirt on. It's a cool logo. You got the pirate on the right side for the O. Check out the show, Noah Hiles, Josh Harrison, and Platinum Key, Running Point, part of the FT Network. Hot Corner time, speed round. Lots of signings happening with veterans finding homes. Let's start with Paul Goldschmidt from the weekend. 1 year, $4 million, back to the Yankees. $2 million in additional plate appearance bonuses. His production fell off in the second half of the year. He raked overall against left-handed pitching this past season. Ben Rice should continue to have more of a role. He apparently turned down more money opportunities elsewhere, AJ, so that he could fit in nicely again with the Yankees. Your thoughts on the Yanks running it back?
It's the same team. I mean, essentially, they lost Weaver and Devin Williams. They made a couple of small tweaks, but it's literally the same exact team, and they can say it's not, but I think it's 23 of the 26 guys are back from that roster that finished the season last year with the Yankees.
That's rare.
Now you're adding now you're going to add Garrett Cole at some point, which will help, right? And you added Ryan Weathers, who will help you. But other than that, it literally is the same exact team. I mean, they did win 94 games last year, and they tied the Blue Jays. They didn't win the division because of head-to-head. But they did make the playoffs and did okay. So I don't know. It's just interesting to see a team bring back 23 of the 26 guys.
When they got bounced in the DS.
They beat the Red Sox, though.
Did they get bounced because they weren't good enough? Or did they get bounced because in that series they weren't good enough? That's always going to be the Yankees' MO. I mean, even if you bring in different guys, they're still looking for the same archetype. So they might have a different name on their jersey. Well, they don't have any names on their jerseys because of the Yankees, but they might have a different name, but it's going to be the same archetype. I still like this lineup. I don't hate this lineup. I love that Paul Goldschmidt's coming back. He came from the Cardinals, which have just a major deficiency in their analytic department when he was there. and he came to the Yankees, which is one of the most proficient, one of the most like giving you the information. And Paul Goldschmidt is a very analytical, like really dives into every little thing. So it shows he liked it. I don't hate this signing. Is Paul Goldschmidt a Hall of Famer? Probably not for this session, but check the numbers out.
Another time. We don't have time, but for me, yeah, this should be a very strong, solid team. The Blue Jays playoff team was better than the Yankees playoff mix. I think that part's obvious, right? They won the same amount of games, so they were evenly matched in the regular season, but the Blue Jays looked like the better team. It was not like one of those. Actually, the comp, I mean, the Blue Jays and Dodgers were matched up as close as you can be with different strengths. And that's why that series was crazy. The DS series, and I know it's a short series, wasn't crazy. The Blue Jays look like a better built playoff team.
Yes.
I think that's the only take. I don't think anybody's looking at the Yankees like, yep, that they did that series over and over again. The Yankees win it more than the Blue Jays do. I don't think so. I don't think it was like a small sample size thing. If they run that series 10 times, I think the Blue Jays win 7 or 8 of them.
I think the Yankees, like I said, though, they're like if they were going to go out and make a move, they would have made a move to replace the guy that was, and it's going to be a similar type of move. They're not just going to all of a sudden shift. Well, the Blue Jays beat us. They beat us in the regular season. Yeah, we finished with the same record, but they beat us in the playoffs. We got to shift over to what the Blue Jays did. No, they're just going to keep doing what they do because they had the best offense in baseball, not opinion-wise, just statistically.
Yeah. No, I'm not knocking them, and I'm especially not knocking the Goldie move.
We're just saying it's the same team.
It's just an interesting storyline that they're running with the same exact team. And if it was up to me, I wouldn't do that, right? If you had the choice, you'd be like, I would prefer switching something up. I just don't know if they had the lane for that. Or at least they couldn't figure it out.
You'd upgrade at shortstop. I mean, everybody's real quick to jump on the Anthony Volpe trade. Everyone, oh, no, get him out of there. Get him out of there. Well, I mean, he's not even going to start the season. So you kind of have like a two-piece shortstop.
Yeah.
Jason Dominguez can't play left field. Well, they took care of that. They brought Bellinger back. I don't know that they thought Trent Grisham would accept the qualifying offer or if they knew he would accept it. I think you're going to see some regression from him. He had a career year, but anybody hitting around Aaron Judge, behind, in front of, you're just going to get different pitches than you are when you're in a different lineup. So, I don't see where they would make the changes. I know you can't just change to make a change. You got to make a change somewhere. So who would you bounce out?
Yeah, I mean, you gave the layup to start, the shortstop upgrade, but there's nothing really out there in their mind.
Yeah, what was
there wasn't really anyone out there. No.
Third base, maybe they could have upgraded, but they like McMahon's defense.
Right.
Catcher, maybe they could have upgraded, but who's out there?
Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, first
McMahon's
base
a Gold
was,
Glover.
yeah, but I mean, it all depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, you are counting on Aaron Judge to just continue to be the best hitter we've seen in a long time.
Correct.
Like you are just counting. This lineup is just if Aaron Judge goes down for any amount of time, it's huge for this team.
They're built around Judge,
which is fine. I get
team.
it because Aaron Judge is one of the top 2 hitters in baseball right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I 100% get it.
Yeah.
So, but if he goes down, if he misses any sort of time, and then you can count on Stanton missing time. As much as it sucks to say that. And Volpe is what Volpe is at this point. I mean, we're 3+ years into this now, so he's what he is.
Most of the roster is just homer mashers.
They're homer or nothing.
That's what you want, homer mashers. But is there enough? I don't want to get into like the classic, they need more contact. No. I mean the ideal is contact plus slug, and that's what the Blue Jays had in the postseason.
Caballero is going to start this year at shortstop for him.
Yeah, I mean to me that's
we'll
more
see how it
of
goes.
a super utility guy is his role, but he's going to be the guy at least to start the season while Volpe works his way back.
The Yankees are going to be fascinating to me just because they need Rodon to come back. Fried will have another good year probably.
Mm-hmm.
What does Heel give him? Because he was Matt Schlittler. What does he do for him for the full year? Will Warren? I mean, they have options. Bednar closing for him for a full season.
They've got arms.
So it's going to be fascinating just to see.
Yeah. Let's get to a few more here. Hey, their division got a little better. Nick Martinez has been a really solid pitcher in the bigs for a while now. And he got $13 million.
This is the ultimate Rays signing right here.
Yep, $13 million. And guess what? If the Rays aren't good at the trade deadline, they're only paying 60% of this contract. If he's healthy, he is one of the easiest guys to deal away. He can do it all.
That's what I'm saying. This is the perfect rate. He
Yeah.
can start, he can relieve, he can close if they need him to.
They want him to start. I think that was
Yeah.
the agreement here to start the season, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean he doesn't get flipped.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying. But he's done everything, so he can do it all.
great dude.
And he's a good dude.
He is. It makes sense. That's an easy one.
Easy. That's great. I love it. $13 million for him. Go back and look at what other teams have paid like $15 and $18 million per year, and you go, Nick Martinez is kind of nice, but other teams see him as that Swiss Army knife, and I think he really wants to start. I think he wants to make 32 starts.
And if the Rays end up being bad at the deadline, he'll move around and he'll go to a team that can, even if they put him in the rotation to eat innings, then in the playoffs they could move him to the swingman role. Like he's valuable. Remember, he took the qualifying offer last year. He made about $21 million in 2025. Next up, Erik Kratz and the White Sox married again. 1-year contract.
Reunited, and it feels so good. Sure.
League figured him out a little bit lately.
Yeah, but last time they traded him for Miguel Vargas, right?
Mm-hmm.
He
was the centerpiece.
They traded him and Kopech to all over the place for Miguel Vargas, who's turned into be, a player for the White Sox. He's in the lineup every day. So, and the two A-ball kids, I guess, that I don't know what happened to them, but I'm sure Justin in the chat will tell us how much we don't know the White Sox prospects. So fire away, Justin.
Love you, Justin.
Yeah, we love you, but fire away that we don't know every White Sox player in the organization.
Yeah.
We apologize because there's 29 other teams. But
Baseball America hot sheet tomorrow.
I do listen. This is a good depth signing for the White Sox, but you still want Martin, and you still want Smith, and you still want some of the younger guys, Anthony Kay, to get their innings, and then use Fetty where you can. For me, that's it.
I will say, Kratz, Fetty is one of those guys where the league didn't love him. And yes, they got Vargas in that deal, but remember, he was rolling that year with the ERA, but there's other peripheral numbers that didn't love him and stuff metrics. And then you saw that play out last year with a 5.5 ERA. He's probably somewhat in between that, right? Back-end starter.
Good for the White Sox. Hopefully he's a guy that he feels comfortable in Chicago because he was there. They gave him that shot after he came back from overseas. But to me, this is a great signing because of the fact that he can add that veteran leadership to the guys that AJ just mentioned. Like if you want them to take the next step, you don't want them to struggle. You want them to hear about struggles so they stay away from them from other guys. And I think Fetty's a great guy in the sense that he was a top prospect. Everything looked golden peachy. Then he had to go overseas to play. Now he came back and he had a good run, but it's like, hey, just because you see certain success, it's okay to be like, no, I'm not complacent. I'm not getting complacent. And I think that's what veterans in that locker room can do.
And one more, Chris Paddock to the Marlins, rotation depth. 1 year.
But I thought the Marlins had all the rotational pieces in the world because they
traded away Weathers and Edward Cabrera.
Yeah, but remember,
and eventually
somebody in the chat or on Twitter was
crushed us.
Crushed us. They have the best pitching depth in the world. Why did they sign Chris Paddock?
That is so true. You need to
crushed
that right
us
back.
for saying like, hey, Weathers and Cabrera, these are guys
expendable.
Yes, we have so much pitching. We're the Marlins. I mean, come on, guys. Sandy will be gone too before too much longer.
Agreed. If he pitches well, he gone.
Yeah.
But
he signed with the Marlins because it was a big league deal. He probably wasn't getting a big league deal elsewhere.
I don't know about that. I think Paddock, no, he was getting a big league deal. I think the big league deal might have been $2 or $3 million, and the Marlins are giving him $4
he
plus
hasn't pitched well in a while.
$500K incentives.
Chris Paddock has not pitched well in a while. Look at the numbers.
The Marlins always get about $4 million to sign a guy like this. Cal Quantrill was last year, the year before. They get that one allowance in February. It's like you're begging your parents for allowance.
And they're hoping he pitches well, and they trade him.
Correct. So they'll pay half of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for Paddock, I mean, you're right. He hasn't put it all together in a while, but low walks guy still has some stuff. He's always had good stuff, right?
Gives up a lot of homers.
Doesn't strike anybody out.
Yeah. Career low strikeout rate last year. Remember, traded to Detroit at the deadline, but from what I recall, didn't pitch well there. No. pitched
I don't
better
know,
with
he was even
Minnesota.
on the playoff roster. He wasn't even on the. Was he
I
on the
don't
playoff
know if
roster?
he was. I don't remember him being there. I
I
mean,
didn't think he was.
Yeah, he made 7 starts and 5 relief appearances for Detroit. With Minnesota, he made 21 starts, had a ERA just shy of 5. ERA plus was below league average. So back end, innings eater, hopefully pitches well. This is a guy where Marlins think they have the special sauce like the Rays because they stole some people from the Rays front office, and they see if they can catch some fire with a fun-loving guy in a clubhouse. All right, ready for our next guest. Longtime baseball writer Ken Davidoff joining us right now on FT, and new hit author, co-author of the book 101 Lessons from the Dugout. I have it too, so we'll show it off while we say hello to Ken. Ken, great to have you on the show. There it is. Yeah, you show it off. You're the one who put all the work together. Thanks for joining us. We can both show it off. Yeah, exactly. We both can show it off. I like the cover too, by the way. It stands out a lot because it's green, and I see David Wright's name on here nice and big. But thanks for joining us. And first off, congrats on the book. Give us the lowdown, and then we'll dig through this a little bit.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to see all of you. And the lowdown on the book is my co-author, Harley Rothbart. He is a pediatrician and parenting expert. He and I put together a list of 101 different items about baseball and softball and ways you can take the lessons that you learn from these different items and transfer them into your everyday life.
Ken, I'm going to say this. I read the book, so I can talk about it. I actually read the entire book, and I only got it on Saturday. So this got me through Saturday afternoon when there was nothing on television. But just because we had a whole meeting, the producer lady goes, well, we got the book not that long ago. No way anyone finished it. And I'm like, yes, actually some of us did finish it because we do our job. The thing that stands out to me is this is a great book for a lot of reasons. Now, it's geared more towards kids. Am I correct? Because a lot of it was ask your parents, ask your coaches, ask your teacher, which is awesome. I wish my son would have had this book now before he was into college, and now he just doesn't listen to anybody. So that's fine. It's kids, right? They're at the age of that. But these lessons are so valuable. And the thing that I love about this for kids is it's short, right? Every one of these 101 is like a page or two. And you're like, boom, okay, on to the next. And explains baseball, softball situations, and it explains how you apply it to your everyday life. And one thing I always say about baseball and sports in general, they teach you how to fail. And this book does a great job of saying, hey, you're going to fail. Now, how do you put that into your real world activities? And that's why I was like, oh, man, this is good, especially for, I would say, 10 to 17-year-old kids before they, think they've got everything figured out, which most kids now think at like 8 anyways.
Well, AJ, thank you for reading the whole book, and thank you for not finding anything interesting on TV so that you read the book. I appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, technically this is geared for ages 12 and up, but I think it can give a little younger too. There's nothing really risque in there. And yeah, you said it. A lot of talk about failure, obviously, and I'm preaching to the choir here, but the idea of even the best baseball players fail to get on base 7 out of every 10 times, or what does it say, 6 out of every 10 times with on base percentage. And how do you deal with that disappointment? How do you react to that? How do you react when you come to the field and you're not in the lineup that day? That's chapter 2. Chapter 2 is you're not in the lineup. How are you going to deal with that? And we take it through various different ways. Not every chapter is about failure, but just all the wonderful ways that this game can teach us how to live our life better.
How many of these lessons would have been good for you to learn before you lived through all of those situations?
Yeah, no doubt about it, Eric. And I do think, look, it's my book, so I'm biased, but I do think it can help as adults still. And someone asked me recently to apply, how did this book impact my own career covering baseball? And there's a chapter, small ball. Don't focus on the home run, especially when you're just starting. Focus on building up, putting together hit singles and bunting over and just putting some runs on the board. And that's the way I approached my career. I was first covering the Yankees and Mets back in the mid to late 90s. Like I wasn't trying to get huge scoops. I was just trying to build relationships and get small nuggets of information that no one else had and building up my credibility to the fact where I did feel comfortable swinging for the fences.
Ken, give us some examples. Give us some examples of how. Again, I've read this, so I get it. But in this book, it gives examples of. I mean, it was like on deck circle. You use it to prep for tests, and the bases are loaded. How you prepare, and there was one about a drop third strike, which I know a little something about, and how you always need to run it out. Just because you fail the first time doesn't mean that your life is over. So, can you give us some real world examples that are in the book?
Yeah, happily, AJ. So one of my favorites and is Fielder's Choice, and I will press the panel here. I'm pretty sure you guys can handle this, but just to talk it through. So let's say you're up, you're in the field. It's the batters have first and second with no outs, and you're up by 4 runs. So how do you approach that situation in the field, up by 4, first and second, no outs? I'm asking you guys.
You get the out.
Right,
Yes.
right. So now we change that in the field, first and second, no outs, up by 1. How do you approach that?
We try to get the lead runner if you can.
Yes, sir.
It just all
Exactly.
depends.
So now let's carry that into school. Let's say, AJ, back when your son was still in high school, let's say he did not like chemistry, hardest class, but he was acing it. He was doing a good job with it. And tonight he's got homework in 5 different subjects. So he's up 4 runs in chemistry, right? He's got the A. So maybe he can take his feet off the gas a little bit in chemistry and do some work in some other subject that he likes better. But let's say he's got a C plus in chemistry. Now he's only up a run. Now he's got to get that lead out. He's got to study hard on chemistry to try to boost his grade up, right? And that's where he needs to prioritize. So just the idea how a fielder's choice can teach you how to prioritize on the field and in life.
Ken, if my son had a C plus in anything, he'd getting
freak
the wrath.
out.
There would not be any. This book wouldn't help him. I promise you that this book would not help him.
He's an
He
ace
would.
student.
He would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if
He
he had a
would lose
C
his
plus,
mind.
if he had C plus, trust me, this book, the only thing this book would be used for is we ain't going to talk about that on the TV.
But I think you get my point in any case.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Ken,
And,
who did you? Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Finish what you were going to say.
No, I was just another parallel that's actually was quite serendipitous was, and if you know the book writing process, this book was signed, sealed, and delivered by last fall. I mean, not all the chapters written. There was a production process. So we're just have our feet up, letting the factories do their job. And we're watching the World Series. And lo and behold, Mr. Yamamoto pitches a complete game in game 2 in the World Series against the Blue Jays. And before he goes back in the clubhouse, he picks up every piece of trash in the dugout. And that is our chapter 92, clean up your own mess, dragging the field, cleaning the dugout, clean up your messes, take pride in your space. So we're just very proud to see Yamamoto, practice what we're preaching. And my joke has been maybe he got a sneak copy of the book, but I think more likely he was raised that way in Japan. And but it just shows the value of that at the highest level and on the biggest stage.
I'm actually going to be reading this book to my high school team that I coach because there's a lot of very applicable things. And I feel like as a coach, you're applying these things, yes, to baseball, but ultimately they're not going to be big league baseball players. They're going to be men, husbands, brothers, sons for the rest of their life. Who were you thinking of when you wrote these chapters? When you're, I know you're co-author, so you wrote it together, but when you were going through these and you're like these life lessons and all this stuff, who were the people that were coming to your mind as you wrote these words?
Well, definitely my son. My son is now 22 in college, but he played ball, and I coached on occasion when my schedule allowed me. I was like the third base coach. I couldn't be the manager because I was too busy covering you guys. But I just thought of my son playing travel ball, playing junior high school ball, middle school ball, and the lessons we tried to take away from that. and all of his teammates at the time, and now going down the line, maybe I'll have grandkids someday who I can impart these to.
All right, there's a couple chapters I wanted to talk to you about. And one of them is the
Yeah.
mound. I love the mound one because you're like the mound is in the middle of the diamond and it's built up, and you stand there, and so take your shot on the mound, right? And I've had this conversation with my kids many times where, hey, you have to fake it sometimes and just tell yourself that I'm the Kenny Rogers song, right? The greatest, where he strikes out and then he says he's such a great pitcher. It's kind of like that. Like you just have to tell yourself, I'm on the mound, it's my time, and I'm going to shine. I love that chapter. And the other one, I forget what it was called, but it was about the snapping when you get mad and you lose your cool and you throw stuff. I don't know which one that one is, but I just want to say as someone that did that a lot, yeah, it wasn't the best idea, and I don't tell my kids to do that. But man, for those 10 seconds, you feel like awesome. So don't do it, kids. But for those 10 seconds, I have to say, man, it felt great.
We didn't include that part, Andrew. We edited out the 10-second part, but you're talking about chapter 82, the head trip, controlling your emotion, controlling your temper, which I think fittingly precedes chapter 83, the umpire, accept responsibility and follow the rules. And bless all the umpires out there. When the umpire does make a rare mistake, sometimes you just have to accept that you can't control everything in life and move on, right?
Or get ejected.
And move on to the next game.
And move on to the next day. That's right. Get ejected, as Aaron Boone does so often. You cover him all the time. Just stand up for your guys and then move on.
So, yeah, this was written with an MD. The sequel's coming out with catcher AJ Pierzynski on some of his tips, the After Hours edition, which leads me to my next question. Can you describe your relationship with David Wright and how you got him involved with the book?
Yeah, look, I covered David for the entirety of his career. I met him for the first time at the 2004 Futures game in Houston, and then he made his big league debut. I think it was about a week later, and one of the best guys you'll ever know in any walk of life. And I knew David was living a quiet life in Southern California. I knew he was coaching his three young children, so I thought this book would connect with him, and lo and behold, it did. And I was so grateful for David's participation and his blessing. And we were talking through the forward that he wrote. I was so thrilled to realize he actually does this. Like he actually uses the game, and like one of his daughters plays soccer, so it's not specifically not limited, I should say, to softball, baseball, but he uses the sports to teach his kids about other walks of life. So I think that's just wonderful. I'm very grateful to David for joining us on this journey.
So now I'm going to try and spin this into the game that we cover all the time, for the most part here, Major League Baseball. What parts do you think apply well here to Major League players, and what other parts do you think, don't apply well to Major League players? And I mean that with the way that the game has changed. I mean, we cover a lot of really good dudes that look like they were, and sound like they were raised well. They have the right values and morals. I would say overall, I think the players get in less trouble than they used to. You can take that for what it is. But yeah, your thoughts on the character of Major League players, but then also on the way that these players are evaluated, because it makes me think back to where we started, where you're talking about small ball. And like generally nowadays, it's something that we bring up in the playoffs and it's fun. But overall, if you're that kind of guy, you don't get paid as much, so your value is lower.
Yeah, Scott, that's a very fair question. And yeah, this book is written for, as we said, kids 12 and up. And if you want to drill down, for sure, some lessons of Major League Baseball have evolved in terms of if you want to succeed at the highest level, swing for home runs, right? Because it's hard to string 3, 4 hits together off this caliber of pitching. But I do think I'm confident that the high majority of the chapters very much apply to the game at the highest level, because most of them have to do with how do you deal with adversity, how do you deal with unexpected circumstances. AJ before mentioned the drop third strike, right? Like be ready at all times in your life if you catch a break, and that certainly applies to Major League Baseball. And just I do think that most of the time, you still the right thing as a 12-year-old is the right thing as a multi-million-dollar ball player.
I'm going to ask you a couple things about the current sport, and we can stay on the New York teams here for a moment with you, since that's where you're based. So you covered the Yankees for a long time. What do you think about their offseason? It seems like they checked the boxes, but when you're a fan, and maybe when you're a Yankees fan especially, and you haven't won in a while for their terms, you're like, wait, we're mostly running it back, and we'll have a couple injury returns at some point. So how do you evaluate what they did? And I'm just presenting the case here. We just talked about them, and they had a very successful regular season, and then they got bounced pretty good by. Oh, we're back. You got us? Sorry, we froze for a second. Thoughts on the Yankees running it back? And it almost seems like, I mean, you covered Brian Cashman for a long time. He's been defending it. Like, no, we're running it back because this team can win a World Series. So your thoughts?
Yeah, it is a truly fascinating gambit because, as you said, Scott, the fan base is not happy. My point of curiosity: how does the team feel? I mean, these two guys here, AJ and Eric, can speak to the jolt a team gets mid-season when those new guys come in by a trade, right? And the disappointment when that doesn't happen. So I'm curious in that clubhouse, is there any? What is the mood there? My hunch is that this group is pretty together, and so that's not going to be an issue. Then it's just a matter of, is this team talented enough to win it all? It is, and to me, the biggest areas of concern are. I'm surprised they haven't got more guys with higher floors for their starting rotation and for their bullpen, because I think they have guys with high ceilings. When you look at a kid like Ryan Weathers, whose dad I covered on the '96 Yankees, David, Weathers has a high ceiling, but I wouldn't say he has a high floor. So I still wouldn't surprise me if they brought in a couple more veterans who give them just some more certainty in terms of innings.
All right, and then I'll flip you over to the Mets side of things. Super interesting offseason for them. They switched it up quite a bit, and I don't think anyone would doubt that they needed to switch things up a little bit. It's actually funny where you talk to a lot of Mets fans, because I'm often in the New York area, and they're pretty bummed that they lost out on some of their guys, yet also excited for who they brought in. I mean, in a perfect world, it's like they wish they kept Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso and then still made these moves. You can't do all of that. So what are your thoughts on what they did this offseason, and also the way that they're looking at a number of players out of position and saying they'll figure it out? Actually, it's funny. We've been talking about this with the Brewers. They're playing all kinds of puzzle piece action right now after they traded away Caleb Durbin.
Yeah. So I think if they had if they had brought back Edwin Diaz and done everything else, I think it would be an A+ off season. And I think there would be universal acclaim and even excitement among the Mets, the very Mets fans who were so upset that they traded Nimmo and let Pete go. But I do think that bullpen just stands out to me. Devin Williams, and if I'm no longer covering the game full time, but I certainly still pay attention a lot. And this whole idea that Devin Williams, oh, if you look at the underlying numbers, he actually had a good year. Like, no, I'm not buying that. Like he struggled as the Yankees closer and everything that comes with that responsibility. And now he's going to be in the same town with a lot of the very same media people and the same volume of media. So that is not a slam dunk for me. I do like Luke Weaver as another guy there. And in terms of the defense, yeah, huge risk. What's interesting is these guys are athletic, right? Bichette and Polanco. So you're not putting DHs out there at new positions, but a risk for sure. But it seems like it was a necessary a necessary move to kind of blow things up and start over. And we'll see if it works. I'll say now, I'd be very surprised if they did not exceed last year's 83-79 record.
Hey, Ken, I just want to know, since you don't cover the teams anymore, who ends the year with the better record, the Yankees or the Mets this year? Since you don't have to cover them, now you can give us your honest opinion. Who this year finishes with the better record?
I would hope I was giving my honest opinion before.
Well, yeah, but we know how. Now that I'm in the media, I know how media works. So
I would have to say the Yankees, just because.
Yeah.
Look, the Yankees have historically figured it out better and more often than the Mets, and I do think the Yankees have fewer question marks about the overall team. So I would have to go with the Yankees, AJ.
All right, we have a lot of players and writers on, but one of the common themes is New York, tough city to play in. There's a lot of pressure. Why did you put so much pressure on all those players as part of the media? And reading your book, it feels like there's the soft side of you. Is there a way? Is there a part of you that saw some of that media, like that players can't handle New York, which I don't 100% believe, and maybe you took it a little bit easier on players?
I do think this book is a reflection of the fact that I was burned out on the job that you guys are doing now, covering the game every day. Like it's such a grind, and I loved it. And it was my childhood dream, but I just reached a point where like I wasn't enjoying this anymore. And this book was such a refreshing change of pace for me, just to really embrace the game in such a loving way and talk about the game at its fundamental level, to talk about the three outs and the 9 innings and the bases and all these different elements. So that was a true joy for me. As for New York, Eric, I'm interested to hear you say that, because I believe it's a real thing. Like I saw enough guys just struggle more than anything. It's just the volume, right? It's the volume of quantity of people. And I do think the commentary is harsher than it is in other markets by and large. But even like the story I always tell, Randy Johnson, Hall of Fame pitcher all time, what at worst the second best lefty starter ever, right? Like just a phenom. But Randy came to New York and like he didn't like all that attention. I think he'd be the first to tell you. And he like I remember like between start, throw day between starts, and he would throw, and like media would come up with him like, how'd your session go, Randy? Be like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, we know your last two starts haven't been great. Did you change anything up in your session? Like, what did you do differently? And, like that was like mind blowing for Randy, because I think with all due respect to the smaller markets he played in, like he would just do his own business between starts and never get questioned about anything.
Yeah, that is a great story.
It didn't help, Ken, that he shoved the cameraman his first right when he got
didn't
over
help.
there. That didn't help him either. I mean, let's
Welcome to New York.
yeah.
Well,
And now he is a cameraman.
He should
Sure.
have read
That's
this.
right. Oh, wow. Good pivot there.
He definitely should have read that.
Should have
Listen,
read this.
I think listen, as someone that played in big and small markets, I don't know that it's definitely the media coverage. I think it all also has to do with the way teams handle it, because different teams handle things different ways. And it starts with the manager and the front office people. And if you get the guys who are right, and I'll give Aaron Boone credit for this a lot, and I don't know Cashman as well as I know Booney, but they really try to take pressure off the players, right? Like, and I think Carlos Mendoza does a great job in New York with this too. Like Aaron Boone's like, throw it on me, I'll take it, and so that it's not on them. Then you can get a manager that is like, oh well, I don't know why he did that. Ask the player, and then the player's like, well, he gave me the bunt, or he gave me the hit and run, or he brought me into the game. Right. So I think it can be a thing, but it also can be mitigated and lessened a little bit if your people in charge help you a little bit and not say, oh, it's all the player's fault, or it's all, oh, well, ask him. Like, no, ask me. I'm in charge. I'll handle the heat. And I think that helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. Well, we appreciate the time. Great conversation with you. Ken's book is available wherever you get books. 101 Lessons from the Dugout. What baseball and softball can teach us about the game of life. And if you go on the back, some recommendations include Reggie Jackson, Bernie Williams, Joe Girardi, and Carol Hutchins, who's the winningest softball coach in NCAA history. Ken, thanks again for joining us. Congrats on the book. We appreciate you putting this together and joining us.
Guys, thanks for having me. Great to see all of you.
Thanks. You too. Be right back. Leo, all right. The run continues for AJ. We're looking for over-under regular season win totals that are not in the 80s. We found one. The Angels are barely in the 70s. 70.5 wins.
Over.
Nice. That was
Over.
very definitive.
They're a 75 win team this year.
You think they're a little better this year?
Mm-hmm. I think another year Neto, another year Shanwell, another year Odell. Ohapi will have a better year this year. I feel like he kind of got banged up a little bit. I think their pitching will be a little bit better. No Rendon to worry about. Trout, Let's see. I think what's this, Christian Moore, the second baseman, be there for the full year.
And also, they won 72 last year, so technically they could be worse and still beat that at a hook 71.
I think they'll be better. I think they'll be a 75 to 80 win team.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, even to 80.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everything has to go right, but I think they're a
Rodriguez.
75 win team.
Yeah, Grayson Rodriguez could.
Grayson Rodriguez, our guy, is going to hopefully pitch for him there.
Yeah.
I mean, they made some smaller moves.
They have like all of these. Remember, I used this term earlier in the offseason. It kept happening. Kratz, the replacements, where it's like all these guys that had some shine somewhere. You remember we talked about that?
Oh yeah. Like they got him a year too late.
Well, no, like they had a flash or they had some success story in the past, and then they've gone through a whole story of
like if it was
adversity.
2018, they would have had the best team ever, but it's 2026.
Right. It's like, yeah, more like, hey, in 2022 or 3 or whatever, right? All these guys have had these flashes where, I mean, Grayson Rodriguez, had his moment. Alek Manoah has had his moment. The core we're talking about, of course, Trout's had his moment for a long time. Josh Lowe had his 1 year, right? So some of those types that are in there. But curious, where are you going?
Under. I mean, as much as I don't think Taylor Ward is, irreplaceable, that's a lot of dingers. They wanted more slug. They got rid of slug this year. They have to figure out the whole Jorge Soler keeping Mike Trout healthy. Joe Adell is probably going to have a little more value, a few less homers this year because he's not going to have to play center field. I think they're going to have Logue playing center field, and Joe Adell was one of the worst defensive center fielders. So I think there's things that are good, but I also think there's things that are bad, and it's just what you were saying. I love Grayson Rodriguez, but there's too many. We got this one shot. We got to be able to throw this dart and hit a bullseye with the Manoah signing. We got to be able to, hit just this perfect line, and I just feel like it's too much in a division, that it's too much uncertainty in a division where there's got to be some unders. And I don't like the A's under. I don't like the Astros under. I don't like the Rangers are just kind of there. I'm okay with where they're at. And the Mariners are better. So, under.
I'm under too.
I think their bullpen's better, though, too. Pomerantz, Kirby Yates, your boy Suter, Stevenson hopefully is healthy.
Romano maybe finds it.
Jordan Romano's there. I mean, I think their bullpen's better than what it's been in the past. I think Kikuchi can have a nice year if Grayson pitches. Soriano's sneaky good.
He's good.
He's sneaky good. Yeah, I mean, if Manoah can get, where he needs to be, maybe he can help him a little bit. But, I mean, their lineup, listen, you go Hoppy, Shanaway, Christian Moore, Moncada, Neto, Adell, whoever plays center field, and then right, if it's Trout or Soler. I mean, that's not a bad lineup. It's not great, but it ain't bad.
What would you call it? Maybe a little below average?
Yeah, but I think they're going to be, if they're the same as they were last year, they're still hit the over.
Are they worse than the A's?
Me, yes.
Yes, I think
so. Are they worse than the Rangers?
The biggest problem.
Yeah, they're the worst team in the division, but that doesn't mean they're going to lose 100 games.
No, we don't need them to lose 100.
All they got to do is do what they did last year, and they hit over.
Right.
They just do what they did last year. Just do it, Angels. Just do what you did last year.
I don't think the A's are going to be as bad. They're not going to have that. They're going to figure out how to not have an awful May. And the Astros might be the same. And I think the Rangers are going to be better. I just think there's just too many games to play within the division for a team that didn't do enough to solidify themselves. So I'm going 67-68.
Okay. Good talk. I like it. You can use an any sport, no sweat token on your favorite sport. Football, see ya. Baseball soon, especially WBC. We'll talk about it. But for now, hockey, basketball, golf, swing,
I got to
pass,
call
shoot,
a game in like
whatever it is.
3 weeks. Jeez.
Yeah.
Get ready.
It's coming. So go check out betmgm.com or the app for more details. You can bet up to the specified maximum stake and activate the token. If the bet doesn't win, you get your stake back in bonus bets up to that specified max amount. Gambling problem or concern, there's help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
By the way, By the way, I had to text my stat people and tell them, hey, I have a game coming up on March 6th. So just, so I could take care of those stat guys, Kratz, just in case you're wondering about those stat guys behind the scenes that no one knows or has ever heard of, just so they know that they're taken care of.
My favorite part of that rant was the fact that the dude threw me in there like he's been taking care of me for it might have been a girl too. I don't know. He's been taking care of me behind the scenes.
No, it was a boy because he said his name. I forget what his name was, but he said it.
Oh, that's right.
You missed this whole thing, didn't you?
Was I out this day?
No. So this weekend, that's what he said. You know what? This is actually perfect.
Go ahead.
So we had a Twitter thing where we put out our thing where we said the analytics.
Oh, God.
When everyone just blew up and like we hate analytics, which we don't.
Yeah.
We were just saying you can selectively apply anything to anything, make whatever you want, look good or bad. Fine. We have differing opinions, although we actually kind of have the same opinion, but we just said it different. Whatever. Okay. Some guy on there goes, this take is terrible, but these two behind the scenes are even worse. I used to find stats for them, so these guys are terrible behind the scenes.
Terrible
behind
people.
Closed doors.
Terrible
people.
You and Kratz?
Me and Kratz. And so then I'm like, I'm like, well, dude, if you're gonna call me names, like, who are you? When did I work with you? Have I ever met you? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, then how do you know what I'm like behind closed doors? And he's like, well, all the broadcast associates were just so mean to me when I worked at Sports Radar, and I'm so happy I never got to meet you. I'm like, what are you talking about?
So he
like,
said,
first of all, every stat guy that I've ever met, I don't know that I've ever met anyone from Sports Radar, but every stat, I love the stat guys are awesome. Those guys bust their ass and get no reward at all other than just handing us cards during the game. And the guys behind the scenes, I don't even know anything about it. Like if I need some, and you've done games.
Yes.
If you hit the talk back and there's somebody, usually a BA, broadcast assistant, that's there and you say, hey, can you get me this stat? And they whoop, here it is. And they hit you in your ear with it, or they run it on the thing that no one can see. Like, they say, hey, how about if we build this graphic for you?
You love those guys.
I know.
And
they make my job so much better and easier.
Wait, so there's a disgruntled
stat
guy.
I'm not going to say the guy's name because he actually threw his name out there.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah. He said he worked at Sports Radar for 2 years.
But you never worked with him. And he hated his job, so now he's taking it out on you?
Apparently.
Oh, my gosh. I did not know any of this.
Oh, yeah. You missed. So Kratz texted me yesterday. He was like, hey, do you know this? And so I reached out to my people at Fox that were like my BAs at this time. I'm like, do you guys know who this guy is? And I sent them and they're like, no, but ask this person. And then I asked the next person.
Clearly, he made an impact.
And yeah, I'm like, I don't even know.
Who he is.
I don't even know, but I was just like, I tried to be as nice as I could be, like without being like, dude. And I finally said, you sounds like you're mad at the BAs, but I'm glad you're doing well now. He has some stupid Twitter thing he does, but with not a ton of followers. But it was like, dude, like you need to like, I see you're trying to get clicks here, but let's calm down.
Wow. And Kratz, how dare you? You're terrible too, according to this guy's friend's uncle's dry cleaning representative.
I was just riding to school with AJ and I caught a stray. Like I was like, hey AJ, how's your day? And this dude just came in and was like, Kratz, you suck too. And I was like, oh man, I don't have a good career batting average. But
wow.
Oh, it was bad. Anyways, right, I don't know what we were going to talk about.
I know what I'm doing tonight when I can't sleep.
It's a whole thread. I was just like, I was like, what is this guy talking about?
It was apparently trending when you guys, whatever clip we put out so much and I missed it. So I am going to have some fun tonight. Let's get to That's What He Said clip-wise. We'll start with the Philly Show, part of the FT Network, offering Bryce Harper in a different role.
Shohei Ohtani last season had 680 plate appearances hitting leadoff. That's a big seller. Mike Trout, when he was healthy and playing a lot, he was starting to hit leadoff a lot for the Angels. He's obviously an elite hitter. Fernando Tatis Jr. hit leadoff a lot last year, a little bit of a different player, but the fact that Shohei Ohtani hits leadoff, he's up there all the time. Every spot you drop in the lineup is about 17 fewer plate appearances over the course of the season. So hypothetically, you move Harper up from third to first. He hits 34 more times in 2026 than he would if he hits third. So that's why I would love to see it. I don't think Bryce would go for it. I don't think Rob is necessarily going to push him into it. but I love that idea of having Harper hit first, Turner, Schwarber, and then Alec Boehm.
I like it too. It makes a lot of sense, but he's got to buy in.
Right. That's going to be a hard buy-in.
Okay. Sure. If you think it makes you better, sure. Why not? Schwarber, though, I thought hit leads off a lot.
Not anymore.
I'm still just
that
a
ended
classic.
last year.
Yeah, just Trey Turner speed, get a run on the board.
Agreed.
They cut down their strikeouts last year as a team. You know, whether or not people are like, well, that's a good idea, bad idea, they did. So if you're not an all or nothing team, maybe it doesn't play. Shohei Ohtani was also coming off a year where he had, I forget how many stolen bases he had. Did he have 40 the year before? Like he's not gonna steal as much. So, like everybody makes such a big deal out of the leadoff spot. Philly was burning because they were like, Schwarber's got to get out of the leadoff spot. He has to. The leadoff spot is such a misinterpreted spot in the lineup. Like you're only leading off once.
But you get more plate appearances.
You'll get more plate appearances, and I think the number's actually closer to 42 than the 34. But you know, we're splitting hairs. But to me, I don't hate it. I don't think Bryce Harper is Kyle Schwarber, but I know Kyle Schwarber's, you know, he's going to run up there some years with a 380, 390 on base percentage. And you want guys on base when you hit dingers. Like that's how teams are building their lineups. So if you think Harper, I think it blends more to the left, right, the platoon advantages, which I think will help the rest of the lineup. The only time you'd have a left is when you have Crawford. Most likely Crawford plays center field for them. He'd be hitting ninth. So you would have that. So there's your platoon advantage. I think that's why the Dodgers like having Shohei leading off. They even kept him leading off when he was pitching, which I would have thought, hey, maybe we'll slide him down a little bit so he's not running in from the mound to get all of his armor on to go up to hit. But they never did. And those few extra at-bats could be the difference in winning the division or needing to play in a wild card series.
By the way, Ohtani in 2024, 59 stolen base. Remember, it's 50-50.
Yeah,
you were like, oh, what? 50-50. 54 home runs,
50,
59. I know it does. It's insane. To get to Shohei Ohtani for our last clip of the day, Mark Pryor, pitching coach for the Dodgers, was on Dodgers territory, and we have a little clip. Might have to refire it.
Mm-hmm. Producer lady's too busy celebrating the Jets Super Bowl win. Oh, wait.
Well, it does count. Sam Darnold won. It's called the Jets Alumni Super Bowl.
True.
Yeah. That's what they root for now.
They couldn't wait to get rid of him.
And I'm one of them. Okay. I think we've got it.
Right now, he's throwing bullpens. Last year, was obviously a very unique year. He was coming off Tommy John, and then he had the shoulder injury on the non-throwing arm. And this year, a full version. The WBC will maybe provide a little bit of wrinkle, but he's so flexible with what he does, his ability to when he can pitch and how he goes about keeping himself sharp. So it's going to be fun to watch him. We'll go into spring training. He'll keep throwing bullpens, try to get him to face some hitters before he leaves for the WBC. And then from then, we just kind of have to wait and see where everything's at. The fun part about Show is, as long as he knows when he's pitching, he'll pitch whenever. If it's 6 days rest, if it's 8 days rest, if it's 3 days rest, he's willing to do what he needs to do to help this club win ball games. And so we'll just kind of plan it out and kind of go day by day like we always do when we're in kind of these unorthodox situations where you can't just map out the next 4 weeks.
What are you laughing about?
Just, whatever, we'll figure it out. It's fine. We're going to make the playoffs. We'll figure it out. It's totally fine. Most teams would be like, oh, crap, one of our best pitchers. It'll be fine. We'll definitely, Pryor's it's fine. If he's got to take an extra, a week or two at the beginning of the season until he's ready to pitch, it's totally fine. He'll hit a couple dingers, and then we'll be good to go.
True. I'm just mad at Mark Pryor for a long time ago, and it's not his fault.
For being a Cub?
No. Well, yeah, actually, you know what? Yes, because in
Great
2001, no, in 2001, he's actually a really nice guy. In 2001, when I was with the Twins, they picked Joe Mauer 1 and Pryor went 2 to the Cubs. Okay. Well, we lost 2002 ALCS to the Angels, 2003 DS to the Yankees. We could have had Mark Pryor. Now, listen, Joe Mauer went on to be in the Hall of Fame. I get it. But for selfishly, it would have been nice to run Mark Pryor out there in those playoff series and with Johan Santana, Brad Radke, and some of those other guys. Yeah, I'm not saying, but so yeah, I mean, just selfish reasons.
Right. Really. You wish you had him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Joe he got hurt, obviously, but Joe went on and had a Hall of Fame.
And then
career.
the Twins would have paid you. Oh no, they wouldn't have. They still would have traded you.
True.
They've changed. No, they haven't.
Yes.
Let's slap. Hey, unfortunately, you lose a lot of people in our sport. There's so many people connected to the game, and we can't get to everyone all the time. But we do want to make sure we get a minute here for Terrance Gore. Gone way too freaking soon. Oh my gosh. Stunning, devastating news over the weekend. It sounded like there was a surgery complication that wasn't supposed to be a complicated surgery. So just shocking, awful. Family was posting a little bit about it. People are like, what the hell happened? 34 years old, 3-time World Series champ, kind of your pinch runner extraordinaire, super, super athlete. Kratz, did you come across him?
Oh, yeah. I was there when he got called up in September in 2014. I was there when he did all his rookie shenanigans to 2024. We hung out a ton for the Royals reunion. 2015, we did the caravan together. Like, we played in 19 together in AAA as he was, trying to come back or just always coming back through. Super unique career. Incredible human being. To see him come up as a rookie at 23 years old and just be so green, but be able to do something in the game of baseball that was at an elite level was something I still have never seen. But the fact that, he's gone at 34 years old, the fact that he, just was an incredible person, an incredible, he just had this infectious personality. Since I heard the news, I watched a lot of different interviews from him throughout the years with the different teams that he's been on. And he truly, and not just because he was a little guy and we called him G-Baby, but he's truly so thankful and just like a kid playing the game. And he was just like, you ain't going to throw me out. There ain't no way. I think he was caught one time in the postseason, and that was on a replay. He stole third. He was safe. And the whole his cleat just came off the base. I mean, just an incredible person. And I couldn't be sadder for Brittany and his 3 kids, seeing them. It just, really hard news for me to get this weekend.
Sorry for your loss and for everyone.
Sucks.
Yeah, mourning the loss of Terrance Gore. Awful, awful. We're thinking about the family and rest in peace. And we'll go out that way. We're back on Tuesday, of course. Dodgers territory is running right now. Clint and Katie Wu on that one. So if you want to flip over there, go for it. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. I believe Scott Boras will be joining us tomorrow on FT.